Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you've been chasing, every fleeting pleasure, every social media like, every new material possession isn't leading you closer to fulfillment. Instead, it's pulling you further away from the very essence of what it means to truly live. What if the endless pursuit of gratification is not liberating you, but enslaving you? What if the more you chase, the further you get from peace? We are told that happiness lies in more success, more attention, more stuff. Every day you wake up, and the world tells you that you need to get more, do more, be more. But what if this constant craving for satisfaction, this relentless pursuit of pleasure, is actually the very thing that holds you back from experiencing true freedom? In a world where distraction is just a click away, where every moment of your life can be filled with pleasure, is it possible that what you're really chasing is an illusion? What if all the things you've been conditioned to believe will bring you happiness, the perfect body, the perfect career, the perfect life, are simply mirages, pulling you away from the thing that can truly fulfill you? The very concept of pleasure and instant gratification has been marketed as the key to happiness. But what if, in our constant striving for more, we've lost sight of what truly matters? The philosopher Aldous Huxley warned about a society where pleasure was the ultimate goal, where people were pacified by distractions and nothing truly meaningful was left. He foresaw a future where pleasure becomes a form of social control, where we are numb to the things that matter most. Does that future sound familiar? This isn't just a philosophical dilemma, it's a psychological one too. The more we chase, the more we find ourselves stuck in a cycle. The momentary highs fade, and we're left feeling empty, always seeking the next fix. This is the hedonic treadmill, a psychological phenomenon where pleasure is fleeting, and the baseline of happiness always returns to where it started. It's a constant chase that never quite satisfies, yet we keep running. But here's the paradox. True freedom doesn't lie in gaining more control, in seeking more pleasure. It lies in letting go. It lies in releasing the very things we think will bring us happiness. In the next section, we'll explore how this pursuit of constant pleasure actually shackles us, keeping us from living the life we truly desire. In a world where the message is clear, pleasure is the ultimate pursuit. It's hard to escape the constant pressure to seek more. Everywhere you look, the culture screams at you. Chase the next high, reach for the next promotion, be seen with the latest trends, and always, always be more than what you are today. But when was the last time you stopped to ask yourself, what's really driving this endless pursuit? From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded by external signals telling us what we should want. Social media, advertising, the success stories we see around us. All these messages tell us that the path to happiness is through constant accumulation. More followers, more likes, more wealth, more attention. But have you ever stopped to consider, what are we truly sacrificing in this pursuit? The irony is, we're chasing what society has told us will make us happy, but in doing so, we are losing the very thing that can bring us peace, our autonomy. The more we try to control and achieve, the more we fall into a cycle of dissatisfaction, constantly running after something that is never quite enough. The problem is not with the pursuit itself, but with how we've been conditioned to believe that external validation is the key to our happiness and worth. Take a moment and reflect. How many times have you caught yourself mindlessly scrolling through your phone, seeking the next distraction or approval? How much of your time is spent chasing after things that bring short-term gratification, only to leave you empty a few hours later? And in that emptiness, what do you find? The need for more. More attention, more validation, more things to fill the void. This cycle of seeking pleasure is not just a personal issue, it's a societal trap. We live in an age where distractions are designed to be addictive. Apps, technology, entertainment, they are engineered to keep us engaged, to keep us consuming. to keep us distracted from the things that actually matter. The more we indulge, the more our attention is captured, and the more we are conditioned to believe that pleasure is the answer to all our problems. But what happens when you stop chasing that constant high? What if, instead of reaching for the next instant fix, you took a moment to ask yourself, is this truly bringing me closer to fulfillment? Or is it just a distraction from something deeper? The truth is, we've lost sight of what it means to be truly fulfilled. Instead of living for ourselves, we've become slaves to the endless pursuit of pleasure. In work, in relationships, and in consumption. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into how this cycle, this hedonic treadmill, not only keeps us from finding true fulfillment, but also leaves us stuck in a loop of constant craving, always reaching for something just beyond our grasp. The idea that pleasure can be the ultimate source of happiness has been deeply ingrained in modern society. Yet, it's not just a modern phenomenon, it's an ancient human tendency, one that has been critiqued by philosophers for centuries. Aldous Huxley, in his dystopian work Brave New World, warned of a society where pleasure-seeking was the ultimate goal, a world pacified by distractions, where the pursuit of satisfaction became a means of control. But here's the troubling reality. That world Huxley warned us about may not be so far off. The modern world is saturated with distractions, and pleasure-seeking behaviors are more accessible than ever before. Technology, social media, instant entertainment, these platforms are built on one thing: dopamine. Our brains are wired for pleasure, and dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter, drives this pursuit. It's the same chemical that rewards us when we receive praise or engage in addictive behaviors. The more dopamine we receive, the more our brains crave it. But here's the catch. As we experience more pleasure, our baseline of happiness shifts, and we quickly find ourselves chasing the next high. This is known as the hedonic treadmill, the concept that as we acquire more of what we think will make us happy, our happiness quickly returns to a baseline level, leaving us perpetually dissatisfied. This idea, grounded in psychological theory, has profound implications. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's flow states that true happiness comes not from seeking pleasure, but from engaging in meaningful, focused activities, those that align with our deepest values and desires. Yet we continue to chase pleasure through quick fixes and superficial validation. The more we focus on the external, the less we are able to access the internal peace and satisfaction that comes from deep, intrinsic motivation. But why is it that, despite all this knowledge, we still fall into the trap of the hedonic treadmill? The answer lies in our biology. Our dopamine-driven behaviors are not merely a choice, they are biologically hardwired. The rise of the attention economy has created a system where every moment of our lives is monetized and maximized for consumption. Technology companies have built systems designed to exploit our biological craving for instant rewards, making it harder to break free from the constant pull of instant gratification. Social media apps are designed to keep you hooked. Each notification, each like, is a small dopamine hit, reinforcing the cycle of pleasure-seeking. But Huxley didn't just warn about a pleasure-driven society. He also critiqued its enslaving nature. Pleasure, when pursued for its own sake, can leave us disconnected from what truly matters, meaning purpose and growth. The hedonic treadmill leaves us in a constant state of longing, never able to rest in satisfaction. Viktor Frankl, in his book Man's Search for Meaning, famously said, "The last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, understood that true fulfillment and peace come not from seeking pleasure, but from pursuing a deeper sense of purpose. When we become consumed by the pursuit of pleasure, we lose sight of what makes life truly meaningful. This philosophy connects seamlessly with Nietzsche's critique of modern society. Nietzsche didn't view pleasure as inherently bad, but he did argue that a life of constant indulgence, without discipline or purpose, would lead to a lack of depth. He believed that true human flourishing, what he called eudaimonia, could only come from living authentically and with intention, not by pursuing the fleeting thrills that modern culture holds out as the ideal. When we let the pursuit of pleasure dominate our lives, we lose the chance to engage with life in a meaningful way. We become passive recipients of gratification, slaves to the biological and psychological forces at play, rather than active creators of our own fulfillment. And while society pushes us toward this life of constant consumption, the real answer to our discontent lies in breaking free from this cycle. But how do we break the cycle? How do we stop chasing endless gratification, only to find ourselves back where we started, unfulfilled? The answer, as Montaigne wisely pointed out, lies in acceptance. We must accept that we can't control everything, that life is unpredictable, and that it is okay to not always seek more. True happiness comes not from the endless chase of pleasure, but from cultivating a deeper sense of meaning in life. Purpose, not pleasure, is what brings us real fulfillment. In the next section, we will explore the hidden dangers of unbridled pleasure-seeking and how it erodes our mental health, our relationships, and our ability to experience true growth. But before we dive deeper into that, take a moment to reflect. How often do you find yourself chasing the next quick fix, believing it will bring you lasting satisfaction? How much energy do you spend on seeking approval from others, only to feel empty once you've gotten it? The pursuit of pleasure is a trap, but recognizing it is the first step toward breaking free. What if the secret to a fulfilled life lies not in chasing fleeting pleasures, but in embracing a deeper sense of purpose? Imagine for a moment stepping away from the daily grind of seeking instant gratification, those small hits of pleasure that momentarily soothe the chaos inside, and shifting your focus to something much greater. What if meaning, not pleasure, is the true source of happiness? In a world that rewards us for what we acquire, consume, and show off, it's easy to believe that pleasure is the end goal. But let's pause and consider. What happens when the pleasures we chase don't satisfy us for long? We get trapped in a cycle, constantly pursuing the next thing, but never truly feeling fulfilled. This is where the shift to purpose-driven living comes in. Take a moment to think of Viktor Frankl, a man who endured unimaginable suffering during the Holocaust, yet found a profound sense of meaning. His philosophy in man's search for meaning is simple yet revolutionary. True fulfillment doesn't come from pleasure, but from finding meaning even in the most challenging circumstances. Frankl believed that when we stop focusing on avoiding pain or seeking pleasure, we open ourselves to a deeper experience of life. By aligning our actions with something greater than momentary pleasure, whether it's a passion, a cause, or our relationships with others, we tap into a sense of meaning that sustains us in ways superficial pleasures never could. In the constant pursuit of hedonistic satisfaction, we lose sight of what is most important to us, our purpose. Consider how much of your time is spent on things that bring fleeting satisfaction, scrolling through social media, buying things you don't really need, or even pursuing work just for the paycheck. These are distractions from something deeper. What if, instead of seeking external rewards, you focused on living a life driven by purpose? Imagine how it might feel to make choices not based on the desire for pleasure, but on your deepest values and goals. Philosophers like Aristotle and Nietzsche also believed that true happiness, what Aristotle called eudaimonia, comes from pursuing virtues, personal growth, and contributing to something meaningful. Nietzsche, in particular, emphasized that discipline and purpose are essential for a flourishing life. Without these, we succumb to the cycle of empty pleasure-seeking, forever searching for something that is never truly satisfying. Nietzsche would argue that a life without purpose is one of inauthenticity, constantly trying to fulfill external desires, rather than cultivating an authentic self that operates based on internal motivations. So how do you begin this shift? It's not about rejecting pleasure altogether. It's about recognizing where you place your energy. You can still enjoy life's pleasures, but when they become your primary focus, you forfeit something far more powerful: the ability to create a life of deep meaning. When you prioritize your long-term goals, personal growth, and relationships over instant gratification, your life transforms. The pleasure trap you've been caught in slowly dissolves, and you begin to feel a sense of wholeness and authenticity that constant pleasure-seeking could never provide. Let's bring this idea to life. Think about your daily habits. How often do you find yourself scrolling through social media, comparing your life to others, or worrying about how you're perceived? How many times do you push forward in your work simply for the reward of external approval? These habits may give you momentary satisfaction, but they don't nurture your true self. Instead of continuing this cycle, ask yourself, what would it look like to start living intentionally, with purpose as your guide? How could meaning reshape the way you live your life every day? This shift requires reflection. Reflect on your values, your passions, and your deep desires, not the fleeting things that provide instant gratification, but the things that will make you proud, happy, and fulfilled in the long run. When you align your actions with your deepest values, you begin to step off the hedonic treadmill and onto a path that is rooted in purpose. The beauty of this shift is that it frees you from the constant chase of pleasure. Instead of living in reaction to external stimuli, you live in alignment with your true self, pursuing meaningful goals, fostering authentic relationships, and embracing the uncertainty of life with open arms. What's more, purpose-driven living doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It can be found in the small, everyday actions, in the decision to create meaningful work, in the love you give to others, and in the personal growth you cultivate each day. In the next section, we'll explore how shifting from a life of pleasure-seeking to one of meaning and purpose can dramatically change not only your own experience, but also the world around you. Imagine for a moment that true freedom doesn't lie in indulging every desire, but in mastering yourself. What if the key to living your most authentic life is not by chasing every pleasure that comes your way, but by learning the art of discipline? It's a paradox that might seem counterintuitive at first. Freedom comes through restraint. But let's pause and think about it. How many times have you felt trapped by your desires, your distractions, or the need to control everything around you? Discipline, at its core, is not about restriction for the sake of restriction. It's about choosing what you truly want. Friedrich Nietzsche spoke of the concept of eudaimonia, the flourishing life, which is attained not by succumbing to every impulse, but by building strength through discipline and intentional action. For Nietzsche, a life led by uncontrolled desires is a life in bad faith, a life spent reacting to the world rather than creating the life you truly desire. What Nietzsche understood was that discipline is not an obstacle to freedom, but its prerequisite. By mastering your desires, by choosing your actions intentionally, you free yourself from the constant pull of external demands and distractions. You stop living in reaction to your environment, and instead you become the author of your own life. This is the true power of discipline. It liberates you from the tyranny of your own impulses. Think about the most successful, confident, and charismatic people you know. Are they the ones who follow every whim and indulge in every pleasure that comes their way? Or are they the ones who know how to focus, who are guided by their values and their purpose, and who can say no to distractions in order to move toward their long-term goals? Jocko Willink, a modern philosopher and former Navy SEAL, famously said, "Discipline equals freedom." He wasn't advocating for an austere, joyless life. Instead, he was highlighting that by creating structure, by committing to discipline in your daily habits, you create the space for real freedom. The paradox is clear. It's only by saying no to short-term pleasures and distractions that you can say yes to a life of deeper fulfillment. True freedom comes not from being able to indulge in every whim, but from the autonomy to make deliberate choices based on your deepest desires and long-term vision. How many times have you found yourself caught in a cycle of instant gratification, only to end up feeling drained, unfulfilled, and disconnected from your true self? The truth is, these fleeting pleasures keep you locked in the cycle of wanting more, never allowing you to be satisfied with what you have. The more you chase pleasure, the more it controls you. But the moment you exercise discipline, the more you reclaim your power. Discipline allows you to choose what truly matters, building meaningful relationships, focusing on personal growth, and aligning your daily actions with your core values. By focusing on the things that bring lasting satisfaction, you unlock a sense of freedom that is far more fulfilling than momentary pleasure. Let's bring this into practical terms. Think about the daily decisions you make. How often do you feel pulled to scroll endlessly through social media, check your notifications, or indulge in distractions simply because it feels good in the moment? How many times have you avoided working toward your goals or neglected personal development because the instant gratification of distractions seemed easier? Now imagine if you started saying no to these distractions. Imagine if you committed to the practice of deep work, focusing on what truly aligns with your long-term vision. That's freedom. The ability to choose meaningful actions over short-term pleasure. The ability to invest in the life you want, rather than being hijacked by impulses. Discipline doesn't just apply to big life goals, it applies to the small decisions you make every day. Each time you choose long-term fulfillment over fleeting gratification, you strengthen your willpower and reclaim your autonomy. You create a life where you are in charge, not your impulses, not society's demands, and certainly not the endless cycle of pleasure-seeking. By cultivating discipline, you free yourself from the distractions and addictive pleasures that society has trained you to pursue. And ironically, the more you embrace this discipline, the more freedom you experience. The paradox of discipline is that it doesn't restrict you, it empowers you. It enables you to live a life on your own terms, to align your daily actions with your deepest purpose, and to break free from the pleasure trap that holds you captive. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into practical ways to incorporate this discipline into your life. From small daily habits to setting intentional boundaries with technology, we'll explore how you can start building the habits that will lead to true freedom, the kind that comes from living authentically and purposefully. As we've explored, the pursuit of pleasure, when taken to extremes, leads not to fulfillment but to enslavement. It's a paradox. The more we chase after pleasure, the more we find ourselves trapped in a cycle that leaves us exhausted, unfulfilled, and disconnected from what truly matters. In this world where pleasure is often seen as the ultimate goal, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that true freedom lies in letting go of the need to constantly seek external validation and indulgence. The message is clear: living for pleasure alone leads us to a life of emptiness. But the good news is that there is another way, a way that doesn't require you to abandon pleasure entirely, but encourages you to embrace a life driven by meaning and purpose. The moment you stop chasing external validation, stop measuring your worth by fleeting pleasures, you begin to experience true freedom. You align yourself with your deepest values, and the chaos of distraction fades away. By embracing discipline, you free yourself from the constant pressure to conform, to indulge, and to seek the approval of others. You take back control of your life, and in doing so, you unlock the door to authentic living. True fulfillment, as we've seen, comes not from the pursuit of pleasure, but from living purposefully, from taking the time to invest in what matters most, and from finding meaning in the small, everyday actions that contribute to your long-term well-being. Think about it. How much time have you spent chasing after things that, in the end, didn't bring you lasting happiness? How many of your decisions have been driven by the need for approval or the desire for temporary satisfaction, only to leave you feeling empty? Now, Imagine what it would feel like to break free from that cycle and live in alignment with your true self, free from distractions, free from the need for external validation, and most importantly, free from the endless pursuit of more. The ultimate insight is this: freedom comes not from controlling everything in your life, but from accepting that you can't control it all. The moment you stop trying to manipulate every outcome, to seek every pleasure, you gain the freedom to live authentically. You begin to live with purpose, on your own terms, guided not by the whims of society or fleeting desires, but by your own values and long-term vision. So as you move forward, ask yourself, what would your life look like if you stopped chasing pleasure and instead started living for meaning? What would happen if you chose to stop seeking approval and instead started seeking purpose? It's time to embrace a life driven by deep, intentional decisions, one that's aligned with your values and your authentic self. The freedom you've been searching for is already within your reach. The only question is, are you ready to take the first step toward living it? Reflect on this and let it guide your actions. Begin today by making small changes to let go of fleeting pleasures, focus on deeper fulfillment, and reclaim your autonomy. Share your thoughts, your journey, and your reflections in the comments below. Subscribe for more content on how to live a more fulfilling life, break free from societal expectations, and embrace the power of purpose-driven living.